them, whether or not he would be able to come out here and meet with us and discuss things with us. We had heard that he had already met and discussed things with the sheriff's office union and with the teachers. So we wanted to know if he would meet with all of us as well, since we're such a large part of the numbers of employees that are part of Harford County government. So I'm pleased that he's decided to come out and speak with us tonight. I don't know what he's going to speak about. I don't know whether he's going to give us the time to just have questions and answers. But we'll find out when he gets here. We're hoping that this is more of a discussion and not just a presentation on the budget. But we'll find out when that time gets here. I did want to introduce our 610 executive board. So we have Mike Healy, who is our vice president, and Jane Bullock, who is our acting treasurer, and then Jennifer Enzer is our secretary, but she is on vacation right now at Deep Creek. I'm a little jealous. And then I wanted to also point out some of our shop stewards which are here today. So one of our shop stewards is James Bullock. He's the shop steward at Sod Run in addition to his executive board position. Mike Healy is the shop steward at the Water and Sewer Department in Meters in addition to his vice president position. Justin Keys, you can stand up, Justin. He's the shop steward over in the maintenance department of Water and Sewer. Charles White is our shop steward in, why do I never remember your department?
Treasury.
Treasury. The money. You think I would remember the money?
It all starts here, right?
Yes. And Charles Swin is one of our EMS shop stewards.
Michael.
Did I say Charles?
You did.
It's because you're Samson. I'm so intimidated.
It's okay.
Michael Schmidt. And Michael is also live streaming tonight's meeting. So if you have somebody who wants to see this, it's going to be recorded. So there's that. And then Brian Reed is the shop steward over at the DES in communications. So DES has two departments now with the new EMS that they brought in. Mike Schmidt is an EMS shop steward, and Brian is a communications. So that's the 911 dispatchers and the phone call tape for people. And over here we've got the actual responders. So, and then of course the deputy sheriff's office union, they have their own union. They don't want to do us. So when I was a kid growing up, my dad used to say this to me: if you're not happy with the way something is working, then become part of it, make a change, make it happen yourself. And that's basically the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I was not happy with all the things that were happening within the union. And I was watching things and saying, well, why are they doing that? Well, why did we sign that contract? So I wasn't happy with it, but if you just complain on the side, you're not going to get anything happening, right? So here I am, putting myself in front of the county government, which is not necessarily a great thing to do for yourself, especially when you have a long career. You don't want to be a target, but somebody has to do it. So here I am trying, and I appreciate everybody in this room who has come out here to support what we're trying to do this year. What are we trying to do? Trying to get the best contract that we can get for ourselves, correct? I mean, that affects all of you, right? And that's why you're here today. So does anybody have any questions about our negotiation process for this year and what's already in our contract or what we're trying to add to our contract? Any questions? Nobody. Nothing.
What are we adding?
What are we adding? That's a very good question, Mr. Wiggins. That's a very good question. So there are multiple things that we are trying to get added into the contract this year. Obviously, we're looking to hopefully get a merit increase and a cost of living increase. That is not part of the contract. That's the icing on the top of the cupcake that is the contract. Clearly, those are things that we want. We also want our medical benefits to stay the way that they are and have what we currently get without having to pay more money for that. Because how many times do they give you a COLA, but then your medical benefits get jacked up, so the COLA is eaten up by the medical benefits costs. And I mean, I'm not a spring chicken, and some of you other people in here in the room are not spring chickens either. So, you know, medical things are going to be starting to be things that we have to think about, you know? Is there somebody out there?
Yeah, he's
out there.
yeah, he just walked in.
When we're finished here, we're going to have a question and answering session for everybody else. If you think of anything that you did want to ask, or after the county executive is finished speaking, maybe you'll have more questions then, and we'll talk some more about that then. And just, if you could, just try to be as patient as you can with this presentation that he's going to give, so that hopefully we have some time for questions and answers afterwards with him. Okay? And I would like to introduce our county executive then, Mr. Bob Cassilly. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon.
So thank you for the invitation to be here. And I want to start off just by thanking you all for everything you do for us. That's moving. Okay, I won't leave on that. Go across the room. You can move up if you want a little bit. That's up to you all. You look fine back there too. I appreciate the invite and the chance to come in. I started off this morning at our directors meeting talking about the risks that our county employees take, whether that's standing on the side of a highway or out responding to EMS situations or what have you. We're always, there's a lot of a strong element of danger in what we do, and that we can't forget that incident over the weekend. So it just kind of reminds us that we don't come to work every day thinking about that, but I do a lot. I appreciate the many things that you all do for the citizens of Harford County. And I've always felt that, I never got a chance to really meet the workforce before I came, other than dribs and drabs, ones and twos over a year. I never got a chance to meet the workforce. And one of the highlights has been getting around the meeting and realizing just how many great employees we have. And I mean that sincerely. I appreciate the dedication to the citizens, what you all do for us, as in all the people, not just me, the county executive, but for all the people. I think our citizens are very well served. So bringing us around to I want to come and talk where we are on the budget. So these are not good times. I'm going to be really straight up with you. We were coming into this year, we were hoping for 5% growth in our state tax revenue, and on the income tax side, property taxes, pretty much you kind of know what that's going to be. But on the income tax side, we were really expecting a 5% growth. We get a 5% cut, which is about a little over $13 million right on the top. And so that's like, wow, that's not where we were planning. I just got, we're working with Baltimore County now. We just raised the tipping fee for the garbage, so that we wanted to, you're aware of the tipping fee, right? Everybody's familiar with that. But that did not equal what the tipping fee we were charging for the haulers wasn't equaling what we were paying. So we're paying more out of the general fund than to cover the delta with the tipping fee. And that means less money, right, for what we're doing. So we have the tipping fee to just say, we can't be funding it out of the general fund. It's got to match. And we did that with a number of fees. And we're coming back again with another fee bill for DILP and the health department. And anyone else in there? Maybe a few other smaller stuff, but a lot of it's the DILP stuff. Because government's got to, the services got to pay for themselves. So we're trying to make up this difference. But the reality is that these are hard times. And the state's, as tough as we get it, the state's in a much worse position, which doesn't help us because we're, we've been asking for those highway user revenues and other things that come out of the general fund if it's not paid for by the state, and fighting for our share of school funding and the like. The schools are another of our big challenges right now because with the whole Kerwin thing mandated that we raise the starting teacher salary to $60,000, which, as you all know, as employees and as union members, if you move if the person that just walked in today's salary just went to 60, well, the guy and gal who's been there for 5 years and says, well, wait a second, that's what I'm making. That's not going to go over very well. So you have compression and you moved all that stuff up, and then a bunch of other standards, which is really, and of course all that comes with this kind of money from the state. So not a whole lot of support there out of that. And of course, rolling into office, we came with a $90 million structural deficit and a reduction for a 5-cent property tax cut had been put in place before we got here, which took us about $20 million in the hole again on top of the structural deficit. So we've been working really hard to right the ship. I feel confident that in the long run, we've eliminated, I think, 3 leases already just by moving people into existing county-owned facilities to say, I'm not paying leases. If I got room, and anybody from facilities, just thank, because they've done a heck of a job in fixing these places up and making them more livable, and we've done some great stuff with that. But we're cutting out of leases. We've deferred a lot of capital projects. You can ask the sheriff, he's not happy at all that his project got deferred, but you know, these capital projects, the capital budget, but they have a tail to them, right? And the money that it costs you to finance the capital project and put the people in the buildings you build is a big chunk of money. And you start talking about $1 million here, $1 million there, pretty soon you're talking some real money. And as I started off by saying, look, it is about the employees. As much as we like nice buildings, it's about employees. And we've got to make sure that our employees are getting a fair wage and a good retirement systems and the like to hold you all up. I mean, I'll tell you, the building you're sitting in, we're not building any more of these. This is a very nice building, but we're not building any of them. We're going back to obviously you got to have rec centers, but I said this thing's costing us a fortune to maintain and to staff. And yeah, it's nice, but we could be in the gym, couldn't we? This meeting was just if this was a gym over there, we could just be just as well in the gym, and it would be fine. So we pulled some of the rec centers off and just said, that's not our model anymore. I can't be paying this big tail end for maintenance and staffing and grow government and still be able to maintain the workforce that we have in a fair fashion. So we've cut those out. I said, yeah, I'll build you a standard. We want a gym. So we've deferred a lot of the capital stuff, which again is causing a lot of folks to be angry. We're trying to work with the school board to try to reduce expenses for them in the same way that we've reduced. A lot of you have been part of that, is how we do maintenance and the like, and contracting some stuff out to reduce our overhead. But we're going to have to continue. We're going to have to continue working hard to right size, not right size, but make government efficient. And I think we've done a lot there. We're investing heavily in the computerization to make sure that we are efficient. Technology makes sure we're efficient, so we can effectively utilize the resources we have. We called back a lot of take-home cars. We'll allow that back. That's expensive for us. Those are between buying, maintaining, and insuring. Those are major hits, and I got it. Some people need take-home cars, but a lot of people didn't. So we clawed that back, and hey, we'll pay you. You need a car? We'll give you a pool car. You show up at work, you want to go out, here's a pool car, or if you got to leave from home, we'll pay your mileage. So a lot of clawing back. Where are we now? Well, we pretty much got where we're going on the capital budget. We haven't put it out yet, but we kind of have our capital budget. Now we're working on the operating budget. And it's tough. It's tough. I'm not going to reduce my workforce. We had the buyout. A lot of those positions won't be filled anytime soon because I need those money to pay for the people we have on board. We've instituted a program. We're looking with the directors and saying your vacancies aren't going to be filled anytime soon on a lot of these things. We've got to hold the line, and yeah, if it's a critical need, obviously we're not going to hamstring anybody, but we really got to be careful because I don't want to be in a position where we can't treat people that are on the ground already fairly, right, and recognize what you're doing. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what we're going to be able to do for you all right now. Annapolis hasn't finished doing their damage yet. I don't know what they're going to end up doing at the end of the day with some of their initiatives. And it's going to be costly. I spend over $700,000 a year providing free drugs to the inmates in the detention center. So these are the kind of things that Annapolis can do to us. It really set us back. I told you, the tipping fee, it was $100. Baltimore County's taking us $125. That's a big hit for us. I don't have anywhere to throw the $25 per ton in real quick. So these are the kind of unexpected. It's like, gotcha. I was on the phone with Johnny Oshesky saying, dude, you got to work with me here. This isn't good for me. Because we don't have a plan B, right? It's Baltimore County. If you don't know, Baltimore County handles our garbage. I gotta pay what I gotta pay. They don't give me any super friend discount. The bright side is that we're getting the same guess, bad discount wherever their own citizens get, so that's the incentive that we all get treated the same, but this is not any better. So with that, I mean, we're gonna, you know, we want to treat people right, and we're gonna try, we're gonna do our best. In the end, depends on what the funds available. I know we didn't make all of your dreams come true last year, and I venture to say we're not gonna make all your dreams come true this year. All I can tell you is we're gonna be fair, and we're gonna try to use the money to support our workforce, because to me that's what makes this county run. It's our employees. And as much as I like pretty building, it doesn't do it for us, right? I got to keep up with the vehicles. I can't send you guys out in trucks that don't operate, but we still got to hold the line. We're right sized, and we're working now to the right size of the vehicle fleet, not only to take home cars but other stuff. We're right sizing because I don't want to put money in this stuff we don't need. So we'll continue to do that. But we're not going to ask you to work at uncomfortable conditions. So what we move people into, I think, is pretty nice. Facilities did a good job. They're nice facilities. In fact, some of the places we move people out of were, I felt, a lot worse than what the county stuff we moved them into. So some of them were pretty not overly pleasant. So with that, can I just open it up to questions that you all might have? From you all up here, what we all
Does anybody have a question?
Yes.
So in terms of income revenue, and I don't know what's been discussed in terms of a financial level. And by the way, my name is Mike Schwinn. I'm one of the EMS liaisons for the EMS department. I've got 15 years of public safety experience, worked for the City of Pittsburgh Bureau of EMS, Newcastle County, just to name a few.
Thank you guys had a rough weekend, and I appreciate the camaraderie you guys showed.
Well, I'm not aware of what occurred this weekend, but thank you nonetheless.
Nothing I did.
But have you guys, I guess, and I brought this up at one of the more recent meetings, like a millage, a public safety millage. So what a lot of the new municipalities, township localities, and counties are doing is a public safety millage. And I don't know if you're familiar with the term millage. So what it basically is for, it's for every dollar, it equates to $1,000 worth of valued property tax for the residents. So 1 mil would be equivalent to $1 of $1,000 of valued or estimated property income or value. And so what's ending up happening is some counties and municipalities are saying, well, we'll do basically, like, it's not an EMS tax in a sense, but it falls under the property tax, so to speak. So if your property is valued at $150,000, right, every year, if you were to do 1 mil, that would equate to $150 that county resident would have to pay. Now, obviously, we don't have to do a mil. We could do a third, a quarter. We could even do less than that. But in terms of income and revenue, that's what a lot of agencies are starting to implement, is a public safety millage. As a resident, as somebody that lives in Bel Air, you know, if somebody had proposed that to me, I feel like I'd be very open to paying 10, 20, 30, 50, whatever that amount is yearly towards a public safety millage, so to speak. Because A, I know where that money is going to and what that's funding, and that's a direct fund source for the department. So I'm not sure if that's something that's been discussed.
So what we look, I mean, obviously this is what our property taxes do. I mean, we say we haven't increased taxes, what we have, because everybody gets constantly reassessed. So people are paying a whole lot more. So you tell a property owner, hey, we haven't raised your taxes. They're like, I mean, look back at the rates there. The property taxes have gone up pretty substantially for a lot of folks as values are going up. Home values are going up substantially throughout Harford County, and that means, and a lot of folks aren't on fixed income. It doesn't matter. Your property taxes went up. Of course, we got the cap. We can only go up so much each, I think, a third each year, something like that. But those amount to real tax increases. What we did do for EMS was that we took over and we're reevaluating and keep going back on this. But we took over the billing. So we're not, when we run the ambulance out there, we are sending the bills. And it's for the insurance, largely for the insurance that people are paying, but that's real money. And so that's one area that we're looking hard at is, and we keep going back and looking at the contract and looking at how we're doing that. And I'm not convinced we're doing it as well as we ultimately will. But we just started this stuff, not even a year ago. That's one area that we do pick up, but we never did that, right? We didn't bill other than a small percentage of it. So we've got that rolling, and that's doing us pretty well. You look at some of the other things that communities are having to go for, the stormwater stuff. A lot of your homeowner associations right now with the remediating the ponds, people are getting hit with some pretty big, if you got a stormwater pond in your neighborhood and your HOA doesn't have the funds to repair it, which is not cheap, right? Just really how we do it. You can't do it. We come in, we do it, and it goes on the tax dollars of everybody in that neighborhood. We got a number of communities that are paying stuff like that. So it's not like people are sitting out there and, we're trying to have people pay their share. At this point on the EMS, we did raise the 911 fee. We maxed out on the 911 fee to pay full money in for the dispatch side of things. We did pick up the ambulance billing, and we're expanding our capabilities on that side. On the fire side, of course, we're standing by a volunteer fire company, and I can't compete with them they ask for donations. I can't say, well, I want money for that because that we compete with our volunteers, and our citizens are pretty generous for the volunteers. And look, I'll love with you. If we have to go for the paid volunteer, if we have to go with paid fire service, I don't know how we can get around without something like what you're saying for a paid fire service. I think now we're able to bill for the ambulance service. The 911 fee helped us defer some of those costs. But yeah, we added a substantial increase. The ambulance stuff was not a cheap piece of the budget, but we really are on a trajectory to have more and more of that covered by the billing as we get better at that process, as the billing catches up. And I'm hoping that'll hold. But right now, look, people are not getting raises right now. The economy isn't that great for most folks. Yes, some of your high-tech people, but when I came into office, we were building a lot of apartments up in the north end and big warehouses down in the south end. Those apartments aren't paying for themselves. They won't pay for themselves. They won't even come close to paying for themselves. What you're going to pay as taxpayers, the one-time hookup fee, the one-time transfer tax, is not a long-term success. That's eating in. That's a negative proposition. We cut back on that. The idea that you put high-density housing in the business district, that was not a win for us at all. Not to mention the fact none of it was where we had the services, the rec centers, the sidewalks, the bus service. And then on the large warehouses, those jobs bring in maybe 40 grand a year. If I go to light manufacturing, on the average 80 grand a year. We're spending $750 million a year on educating our public school kids. Most of them end up leaving the county. We put out a great student. We've got to get a better return on investment. Those are the kind of kids we need to provide jobs, not for box stacking, but for actually young kids who can actually get in and do stuff with their hands and their brains and make some pretty good salaries. And that's what we're chasing right now. Because in the long run, that's what's going to help us support our government, is to have a strong business base because businesses don't suck up the taxes, right? They pay it. So we've got to build up the business base. And one thing that did hurt us, I'm somewhat optimistic for the long term, is the tax. So I talked about the $13 million hit, the 5% decrease. Just explain that a little bit, because what happens is, the state collects our income and property tax, right? They collect it for us and then they give it back, kind of when they want to. That's the other side of that thing. So they have two kind of distributions. One is, we're just going to give you a quick distribution. You get a quarter, you get a quarter, you get a quarter, right? Everybody, your Harford County, you're 12% of the population, you get 12%. Montgomery County, you're 20% of the population, 20%. And they just go around. What did you just miss there? You missed, but Harford County, how much did you put in the pot? Montgomery, how much did you put in the pot? Baltimore City, how much did you put in the pot? Well, you treat everybody as equal. Well, we know that Montgomery County's had an economic downturn. We know Baltimore City's had an economic downturn, excuse me. but we've all gotten our pro rata shares. The other kind of distribution they make is we call it a reconciliation, where they actually say, okay, wait, let's see where we really stand here. I gave each of you guys a pro rata share, but now let's figure out how much did your citizens pay in the pot in income, especially income tax, in the pot. And then they do a reconciliation and say, oh my gosh, Montgomery County, lo and behold, we gave you too much money. And Harford County, we ripped you off. We're really hoping that when they finally get around to a reconciliation distribution, that we'll show a lot better than we are. But I can't base my budget on a hope for. I got to base it. We were really hoping that the last distribution that was just made would show us a 5% increase. It was a 5% decrease. We know the state overall has gone down. Montgomery County is in a tough position. They've lost a lot of defense contractors. A lot of government workers are now remote working from other states because it's cheaper, right? They're working remotely from other states. They got the competition from Northern Virginia and the other states, Pennsylvania, and the like. And so you've got some challenges there. And I'm hopeful that as we move forward and we finally get to reconciliation, that we're going to see that we were more to that 5%, right, and not to in the plus, not in the minus. So I'm hoping that we can come out better in this whole thing, because and you all get around the county, we're actually not doing too bad, right? Businesses are doing all right. They're out there. They're working. You've got. I attended an opening for a new defense contractor over an APG 715 gate in that complex. It's a high-tech thing. It's all computerized stuff. They just opened, and the ribbon cutting was for 60 new employees. But at the ribbon cutting, the guy said, and we're taking the rest of this building, and we just got another contract for 30 more employees. That's good stuff. I spend a lot of my time over, the APG that's our #1 employer. That's the big money coming out of there. And unfortunately, what we're seeing right now is too much of that is going remote, and so we're not getting the local money, right? Local money coming. I've been working with people in Congress and on APG and defense contractors off of APG, try to get people to buy in more. If you got that big contract, at least have the local business, right? Put a dozen or so people here, a small bit. We're starting to see some traction on that stuff. This one we just opened is a good example. But we've got to continue to draw in, and we're targeting these higher end businesses. That's what we got to bring in. That's our tax base, right? It's not building the apartments. It's not going to do it. You build apartments because somebody needs a house. It's not your way out of. It's not your income. It's not going to build your economic strength. It doesn't do it. So we're focused on the higher tech industries, bringing stuff in. We got a great county. I'm certainly bullish on Harford County. You got, we have really good people. We're law abiding. We have a strong work ethic. We're well educated. We want to do good jobs. We'll as your kids, your grandkids, you have good employees. You know that, and give them half a chance. They'll make you a successful business person. You want to put those kids in there. And so I think we're making some progress. We're going to continue to work and push that, and pull our effort back from building apartments and big box warehouses. Right? We refocus on trying to get down to Valentine. We did everything, and that's what we're chasing. We're working hard. We're getting some good bites. Have a couple of really juicy ones in the bush, but nothing to brag on until they walk. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Yes.
Thank you. So I'll introduce myself to you. I'm Joy Clark. I'm the president of Council 610. That's the people that are here now. So I did have 2 questions.
Sure.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I think my first question is going to be about our negotiation sessions this year, because we've struggled trying to get negotiations planned. It feels like we don't have good sessions. They're short-lived. They're not a lot of time. We haven't gotten all the presentations or proposals from the county that we've been expecting. So here we are, many days past the day we were supposed to be completed on our negotiations, and we're still not even finished yet. We still have more meetings to go. How can we utilize a better system of getting that finished every year? Does this have to do with the budget not being completed yet, so we can't wrap up the negotiations?
Yeah. So the last part, I can't say everything is on that. But that's the biggest challenge we've had with any kind of negotiations is when the budget's done, right? Where we've just gotten our state distribution. We don't know where. I mean, the Board of Education is like half the budget. I don't even know what. We're not even fixed with them yet. And it's not just what the local board is demanding is what Annapolis is pushing on us in the way of Kerwin. So these make it really challenging for us to, I mean, we can talk in theory, we can talk aspirationally, but to actually talk about, hey, here's what we can do for you, that's our challenge. Is everything's loaded in a system that the big pieces like the state money and the federal money, big pieces of our budget are just not there.
But isn't the way that it's situated, that March 1st is the day of the cutoff, isn't it situated that way so that you know by March 1st what it is that we as a whole are looking for, so that you can incorporate that into the budget that you're moving forward with?
So I thought we knew what you were looking for. It's a matter of what the issue is, what we give you, what you're looking for. It's not really where we are.
Well, yes and no, because we still haven't gone through everything. We still have more proposals on the table that we haven't gotten to yet.
Okay.
Nothing else that's a big financial ask at the beginning, but that's just another one of the situations that we've experienced.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring Tiffany with me, but I'm happy to sit down and talk. If, you know, I look at big budgets, the number of things as far as the other stuff, I'll sit down and talk. I get pretty things get closer to the end of the process, you know, but I'm happy to talk to her and see what we can do and what I can do.
Okay.
Okay.
To get back to me, okay.
Yeah.
So then the other question I have is, have you met with the sheriff's office and the teachers about the same things that they're asking for in their ones and their?
Yeah, so we met with the sheriff's office, and with the teachers, so I'm a little different with the teachers because we have the Board of Education and the superintendent and the school. I have had phone conversations with, most of the head of the teacher union, and I'm sorry, we did have the budget session. The teachers were at a lot of them were at the budget session, so we tried to be available and talking to people, but the teachers a little bit of a piece because their negotiations are not with me, and they're all with the Board of Education. So I don't, it's a different animal, right? Teachers don't work for lieutenants.
And you discussed apartments rather than houses, but many of our members can't afford to live in a house right now. They can't buy a house. They're forced to live in an apartment that costs more than it used to cost 4 years ago, and yet they're not receiving the income that they need in order to purchase that. And I know, I understand that there's a budget. I understand that everything has to be paid for, but you know, when you're offering signing bonuses to people and then these people get nothing, and you mentioned the compression that was created with these $60,000 jobs and how that's going to be corrected, but in our own department, that was not corrected. So there's a lot of questions that we still have based on that.
I mean, the DES was a unique piece because we didn't have a DES before, and
You mean EMS, right? We've always had an EMS.
Okay. The EMS, I'm sorry, the ambulance side of it was unique because the market was totally haywire. I mean, that was a lot of different factors, as you guys know. You had the early retirements for a lot of the folks who are out there doing ambulance work and decided we don't, you know, COVID's too rough for us to do this, heck with this, we're retiring. A lot of younger people didn't come into it, and you ended up with a really terrible storm where there was the old folks left, new people didn't come in, and the demand just kept on rolling and put us in a real tough position. I don't have a choice not having ambulance on the street, right? So we did what we did, we did what we had to do. I didn't walk in saying I want to replace I want to have a county ambulance service. It's not at all what I came in with. I knew there were issues. First month, they walked into me and said, how's it going? They said, we're going out of business. I said, okay, well, let's start talking. You know, we'll maybe start looking in a year or two. I said, no, you don't understand. We're going now. Like, you're going to have to beg us for any days we're here. Whoa. So this was not like, oh, let's do this. And so for us, it became a really crunch situation that you own it, buddy, and people don't want to hear that I can't get an ambulance. Your grandma just fell on the steps, right? So it was a very difficult situation, and I appreciate we got great, amazing cooperation out of the volunteer companies. They worked above and beyond the folks that came in, but you know they were being bid on by every county. There was a bidding war out there because everybody was desperate for. I just, you know, unlike a lot of jobs, I just can't. If you don't have your certifications, I can't put your name on. So it was a tough time.
Well, regardless of the EMS situation, there are still all the other situations that I just mentioned.
Right.
So those are, you know,
And
things we have.
I want to work in good faith. We're It isn't because I don't think you all are fantastic people. I'm out there, I see folks out, I watch the job they're doing, I get the compliments. I don't get, honestly, over a year now, I haven't gotten one complaint about the workforce. Sometimes they come out me, that's another issue. But I don't get, hey, your guys aren't doing, they're not right, they were rude, they didn't treat us right, they didn't get exceptional service. I don't get complaints, and I appreciate that. It's a big government, there's a lot of people, and it's not a shy county, they'll let you know. But I get compliments constantly, and it makes me very proud to be in the position I'm in. I appreciate what's here. We're trying to, we support. I know that everybody makes mistakes. Once you go out there and do a good job and not feel like we're leaning over your shoulder every second to say, oh, we got you. We don't want that. We want to support you. We want you to be out there and doing a great job. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Did anybody, I'm sorry.
I just have one quick question, Mr. Cassilly. Charles White, Treasury Department. Have you considered reaching out to our state delegation to try to increase our transfer tax that the county collects? Right now, we collect 1% for the county, 1.5% we collect for the state. That 1% goes for schools and ag preservation programs. Our delegation would have to pass that. If we just get it up to 0.5%, I think that would solve a lot of problems with school construction.
Transfer tax issues.
Yeah, I mean, that would really, and it would divert money from capital projects too. So,
we and talking in some of our taxes, I tell you what's really hitting us really big time is the MS4 stuff, the stormwater, what we would have put the rain tax towards, which is remediating all the streams and stuff.
right.
We're paying a lot of money. We're paying a lot for that,
And then the Bay
I like the
Restoration.
environment. I'm all for the environment. That's a lot of money that doesn't do anything for your operations. We're paying a lot of money out because if I don't, the state and the feds will just take it anyway. So it's not like I have a choice. It's you do it, or the feds will come in, take it over, and they'll spend twice as much. So we gotta do it, or the long-term pain for us is going to be debilitating if they have to come in. They've done, and they'll do it. They have done it.
Well, the Bay Restoration that's been on the tax bill since 2002, when Ehrlich passed that we have to collect and package up and send to the state.
Exactly.
We want that money back. We've got to write a grant or, get that money back somehow. We always get back what we collect.
I appreciate
It's on all the water bills, and it's on the tax bills, even if you're not connected to water. So.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
But just a thought. But
No,
I think that 0.5% would definitely work.
Getting on employees, you guys have given me a number of employees a number of ideas. I follow up on ideas. I appreciate the view of the guy on the front line who can say, well, this is what we're doing, but I guess I'll tell you, it doesn't make any sense. I've gotten those. I go back up and press my people and say, why are you doing it that way? Well, we've been doing it that way forever. Yeah, but
Why you're doing
why are
it?
you still doing it that way? So I appreciate the wisdom of the folks on the front line who've been there for years. Yes.
Getting back to your statement about being fair, I don't know the exact numbers.
I'm sorry, you said
Like
about
last year, about being fair.
Yeah.
with everything. The teachers got something like 7%. The sheriff's department got 6%. We were lucky to get 3%. How do you equate that being fair?
Well, the teachers, I don't control the teacher's salary. I have maintenance about this. We cut them, remember, we made substantial cuts. I don't get to say what the state uses it for. And the challenge we had was Kerwin mandated the starting salary of $60,000 for the state, for the teachers. And if you don't fund it, they just withhold our tax returns and say, okay, if you're not going to do it, we'll give it. So we don't have a whole lot of choice when it comes to Board of Education. And that's the challenge we have, is that it's like half of our budget gets given to an entity that I have very little control, even from an efficiency standpoint. While we've been trying really hard to work with them cooperatively, it's been a real challenge. On the sheriff's side, it's the same problem I have with the EM on the ambulance side. 2 points to that is, one, we had an agreement. We gave them the money for the uniformed officers, because I got to keep good uniformed officers. They're in big shortage, and if you don't pay a decent salary, we're going to end up with the best cops. The best cops will be recruited. Not that we have a bunch of bad cops, but I need those younger workforces that are out there busting butt every day, and who are really good at what they do. But they're highly marketable, and and they can move pretty easily to any other county or state and do pretty well. What we didn't get treated fairly was, the agreement was, I'm giving this money to the uniformed officers. Well then, the sheriff, and they all agreed to that. Then we find out that in fact they took money from the uniformed officers, the gun carriers, and gave raises to all the office workers. And I was pretty pissed at the union. So why did you agree to that? So you came in here telling me I had to keep uniformed officers. All due respect, I can find you people to work in these offices at that salary because they're clerical people, and I respect what they do, but they're no more at risk or anything than my people sitting doing clerical jobs. And they're all just, how do you say a guy pushing, working on a computer terminal in the sheriff's office is more important than a guy working a computer terminal up in 911 and dispatch? Come on, tell me. So yeah, I was not happy. That was hey, we did this for that reason. We got to keep the cops in. You got to do that. And I said, fine, I will give that raise for the uniformed officers. They took some of that pay and just redistributed it to people, including lawyers working for their department. People had nothing to do with the front line, and that's discouraging to me, right? And I cut some of the salaries over there for the non-officers and gave them some less money. And of course, they took and restored those. So you got the highest paid lawyer in the county is not the county attorney, it's the lawyer working for the sheriff's office. So, I can't, it's like the Board of Education. I give a lump of money, I give it over, and they're not bound by what I gave it. Yes.
But the same thing can be said about EMS, right? Especially with Baltimore County having 160 plus vacancies in their department alone, right? In EMS, COVID was the straw that broke the camel's back, not only for healthcare, but EMS. People retired, a lot of medics and EMTs said, why do this when I can go somewhere else in healthcare, right? So on that same token though, right, we're faced with not only a shortage of EMTs, but paramedics, right? In the days of a tenured, experienced clinician has come and gone. It's like the shelf life of a nurse. An ER nurse shelf life is about 8 years, right? And I think it's even less now because of COVID. So in terms of EMS, I would argue we're out there, right, just hard as the deputies, breaking our backs, right, when everything else is going on too. And that's why I suggested a millage, right? Because but again, my point being, right, is if every family in the county paid $10 towards a public safety millage, that's dedicated money. That's a direct line of financial income to a department that is desperately needed to not only retain current employees, right, but to expand services. You figure, right, and I don't know what's going on at a county level, when these apartments and commercial buildings get approved, is there consideration for the stress it's going to add, not only for the police department, but an EMS system, right? We have, 17 ambulances out in the street now, right? And even having 17 is not cutting it at this point. So with all of these apartments, all these nursing homes, all these commercial buildings being built and signed and saying, all right, let's go ahead, full send, we'll build it, right? Is there even any consideration to the stress and the trickle-down effect that comes down to everybody else working in public safety?
Our focus right now is the billing, try to see what the billing will pull in, doing one thing at a time.
But billing revenue, even most of the billing reimbursement is coming through Medicaid, Medicare, and that's not even cutting it, right? Some people probably do have good insurance, right? And I'm assuming they get some money in, right? But again, right, we could even push billing aside and say, listen, we're offering a service to county residents that you're going to pay for, right? We're not going to charge you anything if you're an outside county resident or so forth like that. Then yeah, you could do like a direct billing line, but I think it's time to change the current thought process, right? It's time to be more proactive than reactive.
I appreciate it. And we look through the thought process repeatedly, really. I know we've been here a year and we reevaluated all the fees, we increased the fees, we brought on the billing. And I'm not saying that this isn't something to look at, and we'll make a note of it, and that may be, as as we look forward to see how this all settles out, I just gotta be careful because people are stressed out. I just raised the garbage fees, yes.
You can finish. I'm not going to tell you about the problem we have at DS because you know about it because we met face to face last October. My question is this: with the compression you were talking about with the teachers, and you know about the compression that we have at DES, as expensive as homes are in the county, we can't afford to live in Harford County. I commute from Baltimore County to come up here because this is where I worked for 12 years. My question is, do you have any advice for a dispatcher who is taking the 911 calls and dispatching those deputies to those calls for service and the medics to the calls for service that is getting overlooked with the compression and making only $2 an hour more than somebody coming fresh in?
You're not getting overlooked. We talk about it all the time. We look at, we're running numbers. Believe me, if your ideas that you're reaching out, we're looking over ideas. There's a lot of thought going on. I don't have anything for you right now, but yeah, look, I agree with we got to make sure that the pay structures are fair. Yeah, the pay structures are fair.
I sit in a pod with a dispatcher who's been here for 3 years and just started dispatching at the level.
Yeah.
And they're making $2 an hour less than me. I've been here for 12 years. That's where the
Your leadership
experience
is doing a really good job.
We need that young workforce, but we also need to look at the people that have been here doing the job, that are responsible for training those people, because the ambulances don't dispatch themselves, the police cars don't dispatch themselves.
They're not just office workers, like, they're the lifeline to the police officers that you care so much about.
No, believe me, I go up, I've been not an infrequent visitor up to the dispatch center. I sit there, I stand there and watch you guys doing the calls. I listen, when I drive around in my car, I got you on my radio, that's what I'm listening to, and listening to the dispatch. I appreciate the challenges. I've been there when you all have been on some really tough calls. I've talked to folks after that. I greatly appreciate what you all do. That was the initial push to raise the 911 fee. That was an easy mark for me to make. You know, look, we got a lot of challenges. I don't disagree.
But we didn't get any of that extra money, though.
I mean, for your salary, where you are.
Well, when they talked about raising the 911 tax, if I recollect correctly, Councilman Penman voted against it because it wasn't adding anything to our budget. It was going into the general fund to offset our existing budget. Is that right? Am I remembering that correctly? That there wasn't any
No, it
additional?
can't, because the 911 fee has to go, by state law, it can't go into the general fund. The 911 fee has to go, in fact, it can't go to replace money that's already in there. The 911 fee has to go towards 911 service. It can't go to anything else. And I can't just pull, I can't do, well, now that I got the 911 fee, I can pull, I got 50 grand here, I got 50 grand to go on these sports complexes. No, the 911 fee is all dedicated. Councilman Penman objected for an entirely different reason I'm going to go into.
So have you done any ride-alongs, though, with the police department or the EMS department? Like spent any time on an ambulance or in a police car on the street with a deputy or medic?
So I've done ride-alongs on the police side, not on the ambulance side.
Okay.
But I've been out, I've gone to the scenes. I didn't ride in the car getting there, but I've been on the scenes a number of times when the ambulance are there. So I, meet them there and stuff. So yeah, look, I appreciate what you guys do. And I've been in war. I understand what it's like when you come up with somebody and they're in really bad shape. I understand the trauma of that. I know what it's, I've talked to young ambulance people after they've dealt with some really horrible stuff. I get that. I understand. I understand the mental trauma. That's why we've instituted, I designated my leadership over there. I said they had made them put one person in charge of just simply mental health for our responders and working with the providing for basically interdictions for our volunteers as well as our full-time folks. So I take the mental health thing really seriously. I understand it. I got it. The stuff that the people see. I was there last night. Last night when our ambulance team came in pretty bad shape. I was there to greet them and saw that trauma. I wasn't there for when it was inflicted, but I went to the hospital. I was there when they came in. So I understand this. Yeah, this is not kids' play to me. I get it. I understand. So believe me, this is that part I got. All right, and I really want you guys to be treated fairly. That's all I can tell you. But but it's not because I don't have a realistic explanation of what it's like. I've been out on the scenes, I've been there when they pull the dead bodies out of the apartment, I've seen that. I've walked with the cop into the apartment where he finds the murder victim lying there in blood. And, yeah, I've gotten to see the gore. I've been into our prisons and our jails. I've been around all that stuff. And, yeah, so I appreciate it very much. I thank you guys for what you do.
No, and I can appreciate that aspect, but this is what we're doing every single day, 24 hours a day, right? And while you have a small glimpse into that window, right,
Just so you understand, because you don't know me, but I spent 3 years going out every day in the combat zone, every day watching people get blown up, every day getting shot at and people trying to kill me. I do get distressed. I understand it's every day. I got it. You really have, and I've seen what you guys do here. So I do get it, probably more than any other county executive in the state of Maryland. I get it. I understand mental trauma. I'm used to seeing that stuff.
and I can appreciate that.
I'm with you. It doesn't go with you.
No, and I can truly appreciate that, and thank you for your service, right? Because you've spent a significant period of time in the military. But on that note, right, it's when you're in the military, it's a band of brothers, right? You're in the trenches fighting every single day, not only for, but you're fighting not only to go home to see your family, but you're fighting for the man standing next to you, right? And that's how it is for everybody out here, is that we're just trying to survive and fight for each other, right? So at the end of the day, right, we want to be able to survive, make a meanable living.
I appreciate it. I really do. Yes.
The tipping fees, are they the same for recycling as for trash?
So the contract we have is that recycling is free. I mean, so it's the trash you pay for. I mean, let's face it, they're not really doing recycling for free, but we pay for the trash and recycling is free. But then what Baltimore Committee does get all the, we don't get the aluminum, the metal, we don't get that back. But it's part of the overall, so what we're paying for the tipping fee of the garbage, you'd be hard pressed to tell me that doesn't include, that's the same company that's hiring, so.
So if you increase recycling, it would make the bill a little less, since you consider.
No, the reality is that where recycling helps us is, it doesn't go towards our tonnage in the tipping fee. Because if you put it in the garbage, we pay for it. If you put it in the recycling, we don't pay anything for it. It's not added into because it's a tonnage thing. Right. And Harford County recycles a lot of tons. Those newspapers add up, those cans and all that stuff, the bottles. Right. So it's important to us because it reduces our tipping fee.
If there's any initiative to increase recycling, because I know you go to a lot of bars and restaurants, all the bottles and cans are just they're like trash.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, our county does, as counties go, we do very well on the recycling side. And I think, with each new generation coming up, it improves. Just trying to get this up into our public schools and the like and make sure they carry it on. But I see that stuff too. You're like, come on guys, this isn't helping anything. I mean, these are cans and bottles. It's not so tough. I got it with some of the other stuff. Just one more can there, we can make this work. So I'm with you. Yeah. And we come out for recycling. But listen, I gotta run. I appreciate it. Thank you all. Thanks for your ideas. I do appreciate them. I appreciate the feedback. The opportunity coming here for you all. Thanks for inviting. And we'll get back to it. Okay. Thank you all. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.